All right. Good evening, everyone, and welcome to Bet on Black, the men, the family, the legacy, brought to you by the Seven Spheres of Money. Thank you for joining us. And before we get started, like the video, share it, and subscribe to the Seven Spheres of Money on YouTube. And now let's start this very important conversation. DJ, go ahead, take it away.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome back. Hopefully you enjoyed your last few months and last few weeks and enjoying your summer vacation. Some people are going to be getting ready to get back to work, back to school, and back to serious business. So we're going to talk about a topic that's very important today based on a conversation that was had on the ladies' show about sex, the wrong use of sex, the misrepresentation of sex, and as it's specifically pertaining to raising young girls to young ladies to respected women in society, and what is the code of ethics to actually make sure that you are not being objectified, or you as a male are not objectifying women, because right now it's oxen free and everything goes in this society that we live in, because everybody's PC and everybody wants to make you tolerate. But at the end of the day, there's still certain things that are called, dignity, self-respect, and, you can't be respected if you don't respect yourself. So we want to bring on one of the ladies from the Bet on Black, the women, the family, and the legacy, to get this dialogue started, because I thought it was important for it to be a bilateral conversation. So Anita, why don't you chime in and tell us, a little bit about the show, which I thought was a very important topic that you guys touched on Sunday night, and we'll chime in from there. So how you doing tonight, Anita?
I'm doing great. Thank you for asking, Dale. I'm excited that you all are going to discuss this topic. It is a hot topic. It's hard to, I guess, sometimes get agreement on it and all on the same page as it relates to it, but it is an important topic. Women do not have, even women don't agree on this topic. Women don't agree on what should be a standard, or what should be the norm, and what should be the appropriate dress. So it is a lot that goes into this conversation. So I'm glad to be here. Thank you for inviting me.
You're welcome. You're quite welcome. And especially it's important because both of you are educators, and you're seeing this stuff unravel literally every day in the social petri dish in the high schools across the country. And with the parents not stepping up and showing some decency about themselves, I think everybody thinks it's the responsibility of the educator to play mom and dad and surrogate, but I don't think that's necessarily true. But at the same time, it is true. Somebody's got to, raise the child the right way so that they can grow up and be respected and not put themselves in danger and environments that are conducive to bad things happening. And I think that's a self-accountability that we are actually abdicating our role to say, oh, I wasn't, responsible for that person, objectifying me or putting their hands on me. But guess what? Like to say, Alcohol Anonymous. You know what? If you're alcoholic, you don't need to be around any alcoholic. You don't need alcohol. You don't need to go any bars or anything, because you can't beat it. And the same thing is when it comes to this out of control, oversexed society we live in, operating from the low chakras of our bodies, that we, forget to turn on decency. And, what I was, taught is that, hey, from the neck to the ankles, and, that ain't cool. But at the end of the day, who cares if I'm trying to cool you? If you're protecting what's most important to you, it doesn't matter. Because at the end of the day, if you out here, put yourself on sale and you don't want to be on sale, but then you want to be treated like a lady, then shame on you if you didn't get the memo. And also shame on you if you're using where you grew up in as an excuse that I didn't know any better. But you know what? You have the power of will. You know, that's one of the gifts that God gave everybody. Freedom of choice. Difference between us and actual animals are is we actually have wills. We have freedom of choice of what we do. So even if I grew up in a negative environment and I didn't know any better, you know it's decency when you see it. It's just like they say in a court of law. I may not be able to tell you specifically what porn is, but I know it when I see it. And I think if we led from that premise, we will be able to eliminate a lot of this foolishness pertaining to our young girls, young teenagers, young ladies, and then from a woman's perspective. You know, now it's cool to be talking about body counts and all that foolishness. But I thought it was very interesting the way you guys were talking about this dialogue and this topic and the dangers of it, because it's everywhere and everybody's, you know, using it. And at the end of the day, they use it for a couple of reasons. One is to get popularity, and two, to make money. And that's what races us to the bottom of this decadent, you know, society that we are living in right now. As you guys talked about on the show, it used to be in a community that you could be policed and disciplined by everybody on your block. Man, God forbid you do that now, everybody's going to jail. But at the same time, you know, a young lady can make a negative comment about a young man that may not be true about, you know, some sexual content, and you can actually ruin a person's life just on false, you know, accusations. But at the same time, you know, there's got to be a line, and somebody's got to stand in the line and be a leader when it's not popular. So with that said, I mean, I have two daughters. You have a daughter. We have friends that have daughters. So for me personally, my daughters are never going to be out here showing skin. And the reason being is, you know what? That's their sanctuary. That's their temple. And if they're going to attract, when they get to be old enough, 25, 30 years of age, if they're going to get somebody that's going to be able to stand up and take care of them and provide and protect them like I do, they're going to carry themselves in a certain way, regardless of what this shameless society that we live in for the sake of, you know, greed and popularity. And if that ain't cool with them, the hell with them at the end of the day. And for all those parents who think it's cool, then you're just stupid, pure and simple. You're stupid and you're missing something up here. Because when I go out to the pool and I see these little children who are 3, 4, 5 years of age in bikinis and stuff like that, I'm just like, hey, where do you go from here? There's nowhere to go but down. There's no up to go. You know, there's no up to go. You all of a sudden want to change your image, but you've already shown 90% of your body. So I ain't got no respect for you because you don't respect yourself. And that goes back to their parents. And again, if you don't have a parent, you've seen decency and you know what decency looks like. And you should not be willing to give in to these social pressures. And one of the ways you can get away from that is just turn off these social mediums and turn off these devices and maybe stick your head in a book and do some reading. You know, you might start with BK1, you know, or you might want to start with the Torah. Might want to start with some type of, you know, book of, you know, biblical, you know, concerns to let you know what decency is for yourself. I mean, that's the reason why you call, you know, certain people harlots, prostitutes, and whores. But if you're making that the norm, that's the way that society is going, then you're going the wrong way. And they said that, I think the perfect line you guys said was about, you know, the Chris Rock test, which I thought was funny. And they was like, man, what's the Chris Rock test? Hey, if you go into the strip club and your daughter's swinging around the pole, pardon my French, you fucked up. So, with that said, I'm going to turn over to you guys. That's my entry to my 2 cents.
With that said, that might be true. I hadn't thought of it in that quite that manner. I have not. My children know that there are some standards, and those standards are definitely not to be broken. Likewise, I've told many, many women and young ladies across this country that you manage the attractivity, the people that are attracted to you by doing what you wear, what you have on, the things you say, all of those things you attract. What you attract is what based on what you're doing is what you want to attract. And so I also have said on numerous occasions, when you feel better, when your self-esteem improves, the length of your skirt will lengthen. The length of your skirt will lower, it will go down, and it can go down to the floor because you feel that much, confidence about yourself that it doesn't matter how long my skirt is, that if I'm sexy to somebody, I'm gonna still be sexy with all of my clothes on, from my ankles to my wrists to my neck. I can have it totally covered, and you'll find me as sexy as I should be, because that's just the standard that's been set. And most women do not feel that way because, of course, they hear the response to, oh my gosh, oh, she's so fine, oh, this and that, about the strippers and the rappers and the rock stars and the entertainers. But what they forget is these are entertainers. This is a job. This has become a facet to make money. Now, if you want to make your money that way, I guess that's your choice. But these women this is how they make their money. Who are they when they're not on stage? What do they do when they're not on stage? The most recent situation is people have been talking about Jennifer Lopez and that she has more rings than Tom Brady because she's been engaged all these times and has collected all these rings. Apparently does not return them. And now she's with a new beau. And, what happens? But this is Jennifer Lopez. I mean, she's a singer and that's the lifestyle that she's got. I mean, is that what you want to do? So those things come at a cost. And are you willing to live that life and be a part of that cost? And most of us are not. I don't want to live a life that I wake up every morning, there's paparazzi in my yard, or there's something about me on the internet, or if I turn on, on television, I am the subject of the conversation in a negative manner. That's not the lifestyle I want to live, and I've never wanted that. If you want to talk about me, it will be on CNN, and it will be on CNN Money or CNN, something as it relates to business and entrepreneurship and education, and then growth and progress and the ability to influence and impact in a positive way. So it won't be that. So I don't think that they get the piece. They just see the glamour and they feel like there's money that goes with that, and that money gets them to not understand that they've done something strange for all that change, and how they look at themselves in the mirror in the morning. I have no idea. So I cannot help them with that. But I have told women a million times, when your self-esteem improves, your dress will get lower and it'll fit more appropriately. So you'll adjust that based on how you feel about yourself.
You know what the funny thing about that? The guys that I know, they don't want to bring that home to their house. I don't know any guys that want to be with somebody that is giving up all their goods and showing all their goods 24/7. They might be like, yeah, man, that's cool out in the streets, but not at my house. Mm-hmm. I just find that to be, funny that there's still always going to be that standard. You might want to be out in the streets and want to see that, sexy body. But when you at home, you don't want somebody else gawking at your wife, your girlfriend, your woman, whatever, because it ain't cool. It ain't cool at all. And I know, Ron just hopped on. Ron has 2 daughters, and I know this is a very important topic to him as well. And I'm just interested to know, where we draw the line at. And Ron, chime in, because this is a topic that it's kind of like become like the Hatfield McCoys. You got so much liberalism and socialism that we supposed to do anything we want to do, but then we also want these high moral standards to apply to us as well. As like you said, most of the people out here selling their bodies to make a living. That says something in of itself. When did it become popular that, being a prostitute and a whore was an honorable profession? Yes, it is the oldest profession in the history of the world, but when did it become honorable? When did it become that a whore can interview the president-elect? And in our society specifically, in our community, these people have jumped ahead of the activists, the scientists, the academia, and everything. And it's like, when you don't show them respect, it's like, man, what's your problem? Well, my problem is I was raised with decency. That's my problem. And I wouldn't, if I saw you on the street, I wouldn't hold you in any regard whatsoever. Because there's a saying, all money ain't good money. And what a lot of people realize, these people, like I said, Jennifer Lopez got more rings than Tom Brady. Again, she's just a glorified whore. I'm just gonna keep it 100 with you. If she wasn't shaking her ass and she didn't get started on In Living Color, what did she do? I mean, I personally, I don't want nobody second, thirds, fourths, fifth, and ninths, or tenths. And I damn sure ain't gonna have my children raised like that anyway. Because again, the vernacular now is the body count. You'll hear these guys talking about, yeah, man, I've done blah, 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 blah. But then you ask them, how many you want your wife to have? Oh man, 0, 1, maybe 2. So there's a double standard. But you're still out here shaking your butt, showing your wares and everything. And then when you have your child go off to school, which Ron has had, if you haven't raised your daughter right, man, you got to be worried. So,
well, if you haven't raised your daughter right, you probably don't have time to be worried in the first place, because that wasn't a priority in the beginning anyway. I mean, you got to understand that those of us who are concerned about what our children do post-graduation, we're always concerned and will always be concerned. One of the things that happens when you raise children, I have a statement that I make to them. I can show up anywhere you are, anytime I get ready. And you never know who knows me, who's watching you. Do not let your business beat you home. I tell my kids that all the time. You do not know who I know, and you do not know where I can show up. Your mother is notorious for being places you didn't expect her to show up at. So do me a favor. Do yourself a favor. You do not know where you're never out of my reach. You're never too far for me to get to. And if I don't think I can get there, please be aware of the person who can tap you on your shoulder on my behalf. Excuse me, your mother sent me. Those are famous words I made extremely famous. So do not get to where you think you get beside yourself and don't think I can show up anywhere and anytime I get ready. And with FaceTime being a thing and video chat being a situationship, do not think I cannot put my face in front of your face at the hand of anybody I so choose. I will fly anybody to my kids. Go stand by my child, tell her I said, huh?
That's good. That's good.
So I have stood over my child. I have walked to them in school. I am notorious for it. I put them both on the bus one morning and showed up at school at a parent conference that they didn't know was even happening. I've done it twice to both of them. Yeah, and I will do it I will do it anytime I get ready. So no, those of us who parent 24/7, we will be still parenting 24/7. So when they do something they're not supposed to be doing, they know the consequence can still be a consequence. Those people who are not parenting, they're not concerned about that, Dale. You think they're worried about it, or they should be, but they're not. So whatever happens next, they're still probably there like, oh okay. So most people are just waiting for their kids to leave so they can resume or carry on or take up their single life or their own shenanigans up a notch. You got to, that's a different situation, sir.
So they're abdicating their roles as parents, is what you're saying.
They've done that. That is true.
So Ron, with you just having, dropped your oldest off at school and you got one still in high school, what's your position on this topic? Because it's a double-edged sword in today's society, and you having only daughters, I know it's important.
Yeah, I don't know how much I think about it, honestly. And I think it's maybe because I know my wife and I know my daughters. So my wife sets a really good example of how a woman should, I hate to say it, but it's going to sound a little what's the right word? Insensitive, but behave. Like my wife is the ultimate professional. She's a loving, giving, supportive woman, educated, presents herself well in public and in private settings. So my kids are kind of using mom indirectly as an example of what it takes to be a woman, right? And then, if I think about how I treat Tanya and my kids, I feel like I do a really good job of kind of helping my girls understand, okay, this is how a man should treat you, especially your dad. And my hope is you find somebody who emulates your dad in the way that I treat you. In fact, find somebody who treats you 10 times better than your dad. Probably impossible, right? But at least, that's what I tell them. So I don't think too much about it. But then when I do, Dale, I think about like all of the influences that they have like on social media, right? Like it's really popular to be sexy and not have on a lot of clothes and have certain images of yourself on social media because that stuff rings into dollars. And when you start earning money, you become a little naive to like what's really going on in the world, because the money becomes like your highest priority. So you're willing to sacrifice your integrity just to make a dollar. So when I think about like my youngest daughter, she's all over social media. And I could tell how it changes her behavior and the way that she dresses. Like the way that she looks is her highest priority. And so for me, I start to think about, all right, if social media is starting to influence the way you dress, like let me start seeing some of these people you following and how they dress. And then mom and dad still have access to their social media accounts. So we're going on there and just kind of checking in, not every day, because I don't want to be that person, because I don't want to be hypocritical in that I was a parent, a child, rather a teenager, a young male, having his own freedom and kind of doing some things I didn't want my parents to be aware of. I don't want to be that parent and tell them that they can't do anything wrong. That's just naive, you know what I mean? Unreasonable. So we just check in and say, hey, I saw that video. That was cute, but you probably don't want to put that out there because this is the message that it sends. I know that wasn't your intent, but someone unaware of what your intent is, they come up with their own explanation of what you really meant by your video. So you probably want to take that one down and put something else up. So for me, though, it really starts at home, man. It starts with mom and dad setting the right example and hoping that we've done our job. So when they get out here in society, they don't do anything too stupid, but they're going to do some dumb things, man, because they're just young and immature.
How about when you talk to them about the perspective of how guys perceive that?
Yeah.
How guys think when they see that stuff.
Yeah.
My daughters are younger than yours and Anita's. So I'm
Yeah.
always that, even at a young age, for my daughters, I'm telling them, because I'm just keep it real. Hey, this is how guys think.
Yeah.
This is why you don't put this stuff on.
Yeah.
Because this guy, even if he's 10, 11, 12 years old, his mind is going to be racing about stuff he shouldn't be thinking about. And if you're giving him an opportunity to enhance those thoughts, shame on you.
Yeah.
I might not be around. Your brothers might not be around. And that person may think that they have the privilege to touch you.
Yeah, I agree.
You know what I'm saying?
I'm telling you, and that's a tough conversation to have
So
with your girls.
that's the sticky slope.
It is. And here's
So how do you navigate that with your daughters?
So it's tough for this reason, because the girls, they really don't want to talk to their dad about those things.
Right.
They really don't. It's an uncomfortable conversation, and one they don't want to have. It's kind of like the conversation when my mom and dad wanted to have a conversation about the birds and the bees. Like, you want to understand what's going on, but you don't want to talk to mom and dad about that. You understand what I'm saying? However, as a parent, I'm still telling them the same thing you would tell your daughters. Like, this is how I thought. And I think when you say I and not guys, kind of making it so general, almost kind of protecting yourself, like, yo, I'm not part of that circle. No, yeah, we probably were at some point in our time if we kept it all the way 100. So when you say I, and this is kind of how I thought at that age, then it makes more sense. It resonates with them. So it's like, oh, okay, so if my dad thought like that, maybe other guys think like that too. Meaning like, hey, look, if you ever decide to commit to a person, my guess is at some point you would love to be romantically involved with this person, right? And these are the things that they're going to want to do and say to you. And when that moment happens, it's okay to say, I'm uncomfortable at this moment, not ready for it in this moment. And the person who you say this to, if he really cares about you, he's going to pause, pump the brakes, and respect your decision not to move forward. So those are like the outlining conversations I tend to have with my daughters. Nothing too involved, Dale, you know what I mean? Because they just going to shut down and not want to hear it. So what I've learned is when we get to like the details about like intercourse, birth control, and all those other things, I hate to say it, I defer to mom because they hear it a little better.
Right. Well, that's mom's job.
Yes, they hear it more from mom. You know what I mean? Because dad is, I want to have that conversation with dad. We cool. Yeah, I don't want to do that. I'm just being honest. But I don't stop, right? Because that would be an irresponsible parent. I'm always planting seeds, Dale. You know what I mean? Always planting seeds. When I'm in the car, if I'm taking them out for daddy-daughter dates, I'm always asking them, how you doing? You okay? Are you hurt? Somebody bothering you? Is there something on your mind you want to talk to me about? It's just you and I, promise. It's a safe place. Let's talk about it. Like every time. Oh, by the way, I love you. Just want to make sure you know that. Okay, we good. You need something? No? All right, we good. Every moment I get with my daughters.
A lot of people, Anita, they try to use social media as an excuse that everybody does it. So what do you say when they say that? I mean, you're a sports mom as well. Ron's a sports mom. You know, I used to be a sports dad. So I'm interested to say, everybody's doing it. Okay. Well, everybody went, our parents said, if everybody went jumped off a bridge, you're going to follow them too?
Right.
Well, they already know that is just not something, the argument that they cannot produce with me. We learned that at 2 and 3 years old, that we don't use the everybody does it thing. We already know that. And I will tell you, Ron, I totally disagree. Ron, part of our show was about daddy's little girls, and all of us are our dad's little girls. And that conversation you won't have with them, that's the best person to have that conversation with. Because here's the deal. If you're uncomfortable having it, then that means it's not time to do that.
Right.
And that means you need to defer decision making until you're better able to handle the topic. Because if you can't talk to me, then you can't tell him you're uncomfortable.
Yeah. And
I
that
agree. Needs to be something you lead with. That's some unsolicited parental advice and some from a girl. But if you can't have that conversation as with me as your dad, then you can't have a conversation with a guy who's doing things to you that you don't want to do.
Yeah.
But again, off topic a little bit. However,
I like that.
I feel like this. One of the things is that they're looking for likes on social media. So they're looking for that popularity. They're looking for that. The first thing that we can do as the nearest adult, the nearest safe person, so be that parent or unrelated at all, is to be that safe place and be that affirmation. And like I told you, when I say this statement to women, when your self-esteem gets better, your dress will get longer. It takes them a minute to understand that I just told you, number one, your dress is too short. Your self-esteem is in the tank. And there needs to be some fixing in your life. They don't understand that your outward appearance is a reflection and is sharing with the whole world. It's put your business on blast about what's going on the inside of you. You're screaming for help. You got your hand raised so high and you're screaming so loud that only a handful of people are going to go, hey, can you come talk to me for a second? Have a seat, sit down right here. Let me have a word. Because you need to understand that what you're doing is not okay. And number two, it can be fixed. It can be remedied. We can fix this. But I need you to understand it's going to take some work. Number one, you have to be able to say that. You have to be the bold person that can run and tell them that. Number two, they have to be willing to fix that. Not everybody's willing to fix their position because they've got to admit then that I need help. And what does that look like? It's easier to be in some of those dangerous places than to be in a place where you're confident and not confused, and all of that, it's easy to be in those places because it's also popular and it's a crowded level. It's that mediocrity level where it's crowded. So it's a lot of people there that they can hang out with and talk to and support each other for the wrong reasons. So, when educators get together and do this and we talk to them, it's a display case of helping them get past those points. But the real thing is that not only do we help this young lady, we have to help her layers of friends too. We have to collect them and get them as a group together. We can't just help the one. We got to help the whole pack, because otherwise they're going to pull her back. Mm-hmm. So it's one of those group effort things that we have to get them as a section, as a group, as a collective.
Yeah.
And so understanding that you got to replace that as well. So if they're doing this, those law students who strip for money, they're dancing for money. They're dancing to get through law school. You got to replace that with something. I was just talking to a young man who says that, he's going to do a podcast. He was asking me for some advice and all that. And I said, okay, so, he said, he was explaining to me, and I'm naive about this moment. He was explaining to me about how women are now being paid as escorts and as a company. Like, they'll just take you out on a date and pay you for your time to sit there with you at dinner. Now, I'm oblivious to this. I had no idea this was an industry. And I'm like, y'all are they're making real money? And I'm like, excuse me? Are you kidding me?
Real money.
But I said, so you're dining with someone who can afford to pay you $300 and $400 for your time, or pay for your hair and pay for your whatever, and then pay for whatever else that goes on. Why can't he just find you a job? Because you need a job. You
gotta work.
Oh, you got
a job involves work and effort. So much easier to be cute and sexy and have somebody spoil you. Yeah.
Well, the point is, to be fair, they actually have a company now for men that are paid by women who are in their 40s up, that are just paying them for their time. And it's just crazy, man. I mean, it's amazing. So any justification that to get that dollar bill is what it's all about at the end of the day. So,
you know what, Ron and Dale, and Nick, I can't. I first of all, the fact that I didn't know anything about it says a lot about me and who I am. But that's number one.
Right.
Number two, I'm sitting here thinking, really?
Yeah.
You can figure nothing else out to do than to
like I said, it's laziness. Like Ron said, it's laziness. You have what I just found out probably 3 weeks ago, the only fan sites.
Oh yeah.
OnlyFans.
Oh yeah, I heard about that. I was like, oh my gosh.
So,
oh gosh.
Yeah, as soon as you hear about it, I mean, like I said, you don't want to be approved, but at the same time, I'm not going to lower my standards.
No.
So I'm immediately, hey, I'm hitting up my children like, hey, if you're being told to check this out and you do that, then all hell gonna break out. Because
rightfully so.
Don't do that.
Rightfully so. Because it's basically a porno site. Social media porno site.
And again, it's all good because we're making money.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, we all making money. It's all good. But see, what they don't tell you is the behind the scenes of all the psychological damage that these people have.
Yep.
The counseling stuff that these people go through. They don't tell you about that.
Yeah. That's I would say this too, Del, is that, and I had to learn this too. And I don't know if it's true or not, but I heard it. Like, there are age gaps in between generations. And if the gap is too far, you can't reach them. Does that make sense? And I'll just give you like numbers so that it resonates, right? Somebody who is 16 years old hears a message from someone who is 45, 50, may not resonate. You understand what I'm saying? Because one, they see you as a mature adult. You don't understand what I go through day by day. Things have changed. Time has changed. Technology has changed. You have no idea what you're talking about, right? So you probably need somebody closer in their 20s, that they can identify with, somebody that looks like them, that says the same message, but they receive it different, because now they can relate to that person, right? And then two, we got to remember, in general, we're probably talking about someone in their late teens, so like 18, 19 to as young as 27 or something. So during that age, we were all feeling ourselves, right?
Absolutely.
We were all sexy, cool, thought we knew everything. And anything that came from an adult, you don't know what you're talking about. I'm cool. Live your life. I'm going to live mine. You know what I'm
We
saying?
still know the difference between right and wrong, though.
No, I agree. But what I'm saying is,
now.
it's just
kids don't even
tougher.
feel like they know what the difference between right and wrong is.
No. So Dale, trust me.
I would do wrong, but I knew what right was.
We all did. What I'm saying is we all did. And what I'm saying is people need to just continue to send the message. And unfortunately, it's going to take a situation for someone to say, oh my goodness, that's what Dale and my dad were talking about. Oh, now I get it, right? It's not going to take us constantly doing this, right? Because the message is coming from mom and dad. We've been telling them shit all day life. You know what I'm saying? And we've been planting seeds. So when the moment actually pops up, we hope they make the right choice, right? But sometimes it takes for somebody else who doesn't look like mom and dad within a certain age and demographic to say the same thing to them. Boom, it resonates. So our job is just keep planting seeds. It may take for somebody else to water it, but we just got to keep planting seeds.
You're
so
right.
I'm not gonna,
good point. Yeah, go ahead, Nita.
That's why meet the teacher is important, because you have to know that you have to realize that people like myself and Nick, we know your kids better than you know your kids. We spend way more time with them than you.
Than the average person, because nobody knows my kids better than me.
Not you, Dale. You're the only person.
I'm in the game 100%. I was the bad kid growing up. See, that's a good thing about it. I'm the kid that did everything that I wasn't supposed to do. So one of the things, I got many of stories that are real to tell my kids. Why I know?
Well, what I mean by that though is that you're watching because your education system is different that you have for your kids. I'm talking about the regular parent that sends their kids to regular public school. Right. You know, I have had so many conversations with parents that relate to, I didn't know this about my kid. I didn't know that about my kid. And I'm sitting there thinking, I can write a book on your kid. What are you talking about? But again, they can't put their own devices down. They can't put their own stuff to the side to deal with their kid. And so that's why I tell you that, you know, it's one of those things where parents who are present, if you ask these women who, can you wear a longer, they can't wear a longer skirt, they got all this stuff going on. Were your parents present? No. Where's your dad? They got divorced. I've never met him. He's in jail. Basically, he wasn't present.
Yep.
The third thing is, who was your influence in school? They can't name a single teacher. And then fourth, it's like, where's the matriarch of your family? Well, my grandmother died when I was 6. Right there, those 4 answers right there are a recipe for disaster, for a low self-esteem for a woman. And that's not the entirety of the list, but that's the highlight reel. Because again, at some point, somebody is going to get you along the way and get you together. Because I will tell you right now, I can look at the young women in my class and look at them and go, let me see. That's not it. We're not doing that. They already know. They dress accordingly. Yeah. Because they're going to see me. Oh, I knew when I wore that was not going to be your approval. Do you know I approve prom dresses and shoes? Their mothers buy them, but I'm not going to approve that. Yeah. But my mother, who? Let me get your mother on the phone. Ma'am, that's not appropriate for school. She's not going to go to the school prom, baby. That's not, don't buy that dress. She's not going to get in. Yes.
What happens when they tell you it ain't none of your business?
When she doesn't get into the prom, it's going to be a problem because the school administration will escort you off the campus. I didn't make the rules. I will just tell you that's what they are.
And then we know what happens next, Dale. Now mom's on her way up to the school.
Right. And the police officer standing there waiting on her.
Mom up to the school with slippers on and a nightgown ready to.
Right.
But the police officer waiting on her. But see, here's the deal, Ron. Let me tell you something. When I get talked about more at home than any teacher in their entirety of their years. Trust. I found that out.
Good for you, though.
I call home and go, ma'am, this is not going to work. But here's the deal. They're buying dresses in October. They don't publish the rules until April. So
That's
I
tough,
tell them,
man.
I
Yeah.
said, hey, don't buy
That's
that
tough.
dress. These are the rules. I give them last year's rules. Here are the rules from last year.
Yeah.
Don't buy that dress. You're not
Yeah.
gonna make it. And I have to tell the people, publish the rules early because they're buying dresses because they have them shipped over here from wherever. Get them those rules. But the bigger issue is this. Again, you have to change the game. You have to, the affirmations are important. You know, texting your daughters in the middle of the day, hey, dad want to let you know, man, you're beautiful today. Daddy, you need to see me when I left. That's not the point. You think so? You think your clothes change your beauty? Then you get her that dialogue. Ask her those questions. Text her about something just totally random. How do you define beauty? How do you define love? How are you measuring based on what we do? How are you going to use that to decide who's the man that's right for you? You know,
now let me ask you the tough question. Let me ask you the tough question.
Sure.
Because it goes back to the point that you made, which is why there is such this massive gap in between, you know, young women growing up to be a great example for society. And then on the flip side of it, you know, deciding to do something opposite of that. They're missing a male figure in their life, right? So to me, that is a massive gap. So if they don't have exactly what you just said, because to your point, me and Del have daughters, we are present. And my guess is, because I know Del to his core, he does exactly what you just said. We're sending these random texts to our daughters, constant affirmation, supportive, present mentally and physically, right? If he's missing and is just mom, what do you do?
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say.
So here's the deal.
Single parent homes that's matriarch driven.
Yeah.
How do we help them?
And this is how we help them. She's got to do that. She's got to send those text messages, and she's got to affirm that. She's got to have her own self-esteem together. I'm a single mom. I do it by myself.
Yeah.
And again, the standard is set. The stage is set. I govern my life accordingly. I am a single woman. I would love a love life, but there are certain things I am not going to do and I don't do because that's not appropriate for my children. Mm-hmm. So there's certain things that's just not going to happen. But again, I am the kind of person who I'm me all the time. So my skirt's not too short. If you climb up the stairs, you can't look up and see what's going on underneath it. It's not, it's not see-through. It's not, when you buy clothes, you learn how to buy clothes. If you hold your hand under this skirt and hold it to the light, if you can see your whole hand, that's not something you can wear without a slip. You probably should not purchase it at all.
But that ain't cool though.
Yeah.
It's what?
That ain't cool.
Exactly. But my whole point is those are things you learn how to do. And so you teach that. I teach all the time. My daughter is currently looking for insurance. She needs to just learn how to shop for insurance. Mm-hmm. And she's got to practice it. I can make one phone call and have insurance before 30 minutes. But who's learning something? Her or me? I don't need to learn. She does. So you got to keep teaching. You got to do that. So as a single mom, you also employ support. Hey, you and your friends, who you're friends with, mom, your children need to hang out together so y'all can learn these lessons. Let me tell you something. I'm a single mom of a boy and a girl. We have these copies. I don't leave anything to his father. I don't leave anything unturned because I know who's got to hold the bag. That would be me. And one day we had a conversation. I said, sir, look, let me tell you something. I was talking to my son. I said, let me tell you something. I said, you are going to go to college. And in your care packages, every time I send them, I will also be sending condoms. Mom, I'm not having sex. That's wonderful, sweetheart. But these are for your friends in case they have sex in near you.
Absolutely.
So this is what I told him. I said, because I also want you to understand, I don't ever want you to take a condom from a girl. I said, I'm not having sex. I said, I understand. Just in case something happens that you would have in case it's unplanned. He says, well, Mama, why would I not take a condom from a girl? I said, because based on the career you chose and how big your mouth is about what you're going to do in your life, I don't want her to set you up and trap you. I don't want her to put a hole in the condom. So I told him this at 10, 11, 12 years old. Last year, he told one of his friends this, his best friend. His best friend says, that sounds like something your mother said. Yep, your
Right.
mama said that. That's what
Good.
parenting looks like. That's
Yeah.
how you support.
Yeah.
They're talking about this. Now, why they needed to talk about condoms when they're not having sex,
Yeah.
it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Because whenever it happens,
Because it's going to.
you're going to be prepared and you know what I expect.
That's it.
So we've already established those ground rules, that platform, you already know what it is. So if I drop myself in Tennessee, wherever you decide to go to school, you already know I'm coming. You already know what's going to happen. So beware. That's it. So as far as single moms, they also have to be willing to take advice and information. Again, those phone calls I make about their daughters. Ma'am, this is what I need from you. This is what's going on with your child. This is what's happening. You have to be brave enough to get in their business.
Mm-hmm.
And you have to be bold enough to let them know, hey, look, this is not about to be a pleasant phone call. I lead with that. You're about to not be real happy about what I'm about to say, but however, it's going to benefit everyone on the call. So let me get after it real quick so you can know what's going down.
Yeah.
And they listen to that because they're like, really?
Yeah.
And I go, I'm just going to let you know. I'm going to let you know what we have going on. But again,
Well,
like I said,
in this PC litigious world, in the high school environment now, you guys' hands are kind of handcuffed. So I know Nick has been silent over there. So I'm interested to know, because most of all this stuff is happening is at that middle school and high school before they get off and become adults. Because by the time they get to college, it's a wrap. I mean,
let me say something before Nick speaks.
Mm-hmm.
I feel sorry for male teachers in high school because most of them don't want to deal with dress code. They send their dress code issues to us. And I tell them, yeah, if you have a girl that has a dress code situation, like the dress code is that your dress has to be longer than the fingertips when you put them on the side of your thighs. Okay, that's not a real good measuring tool, but that's the best they can come up with.
Yeah.
So I feel sorry for Nick and every other male teacher that doesn't feel comfortable addressing dress code. But let me explain this. I tell them just what it is. Baby, you have to put some more clothes on. And that's just how I say it. It's just, I'm just real straightforward about it, because even if it's litigious and even if you feel like our hands are tied, here's how I feel about it. I'm going to take my keys to my truck and put that badge on the desk. If you don't want me there, no worries. Find another math teacher better than me, flyer than me, more powerful than me, that does more than me, that invests.
Yeah, I love it.
That is more popular than me around these halls.
Get it.
You can have it. But in the meantime, I'm going to be me where I am. And I'm going to teach what I teach and do what I do, invest in my level that I invest in. And I'm going to tell her, sweetheart, all that you're showing is not for everybody. And let me help you understand. I'm trying to educate him and you. And I can't get his attention because you got way too much thigh showing. Go put on some sweatpants. Let me go get you a pair. Let me go find one of my coaching friends that can get you a pair. I said, you've not seen my thighs ever. So I'm still effective at what it is I do. I said, so be clear, sweetheart. You can do it without all that out.
I like that.
And then I start, when she gets my attention like that, that means that she's my project. She's somebody I need to spend some time on and some time with. So that means she gets sticky notes with affirmations. That means she's the inspiration for the next book. That means she gets YouTube video QR codes on her desk. That means she gets the things that I do for other girls and other women and things that, that I give away. And so that means she gets parts of me that doesn't part of my contract with my school district. And I just, you know what? If that's what you want to fire me for that, great. And guess who'll be on the news for guess what a great teacher did yesterday? And they're going to shame you for me trying to do my job at a very high level. And I'm okay. And you'll retire me with a package. And it'll get very litigious, as you said, Dale. And I'm going to be okay with it. And all I need is one reason. One reason to leave the building before next June. One. That's all I need. One. And I'm out. So they can play if they want to. Now, understand
I love it.
that again, I am so serious. I understood my impact on girls I initially started teaching, I taught 7th grade, and I understood my impact on girls when the grandmother came and said to me, she imitates everything you do. From how you put your pen down to how you line your papers up.
Yeah.
She comes home and plays school, and she does everything you just did. That grandmother watched me for 15 minutes, and then she spoke and she says, so she's been imitating you for the last 12 weeks, I see.
Yeah. And that's so powerful because, and you guys know this way better than I do, because it's how you earn a living. You know, you guys are shaping and molding these kids' minds and the behavior. Because when I used to coach basketball camps and speak in front of my volunteers, I would say something very similar to what you just said or imply is, look, you know, there's been moments in all of our lives where we could pinpoint one specific situation or conversation that we had with someone, and we could tell you exactly where we were at, what they said, and what they did. That's how influential that conversation was. So every time I started the camp, I would say to the volunteers, look, be careful what you say to these kids, because you never know when they're listening. You never know when they're listening, meaning you may say something and be extremely emotional in that moment, and they will recall it for the balance of their life, good or bad, right? So make certain you understand what you're saying to these kids, because you never know when they're really listening, when you really have their intention, because whatever you say can shape and mold them for the rest of their lives. And I agree, that's how impressionable kids are. It's just
Ron, let me add to that. This piece. You also need to know that when they really like you and they want to know something about you, then they Google you and get all the way in your business. That same little girl would tell me the English teacher's business, because she was on MySpace, and this is how long that was ago. She was on MySpace and told me all the latest business. I went over there and told, I said, look, ma'am, I need you to turn your MySpace off public because the kids are watching your business. Wow. They know how much you had to drink yesterday. I did. And I walked right over to her. And she was a younger lady, and she didn't really want to hear what I had to say. I said, well, here's the problem, sweetheart. And I told her, the young lady, just like this, I said, here's the problem. They can revoke your contract for moral turpitude because you were drinking and the kids saw you and reported that you were drinking. Woo. Now, I'm going to tell you right now, if they ask me, I'll report you, because I'm not losing my certificate because you did something foolish. I wasn't even there. Right. So if you want to call it a snitch or whatever, I'm going to keep teaching and you're going to have to keep it moving. But I had to tell her that. Yeah. And she fixed it. But they were in my business, because she told that same little girl told another little girl, she says, and she has her own publishing company, and it's called Purple Ink. And I'm sitting here going, I know she hears me hear her. Do she? You know what? Let me keep on moving. Because by this time, now I'm her hero. Now I'm her idol. Now I'm going to get her through college, and I'm not going to even be there when she graduates. Yeah. Okay. But now she has something to work toward, because again, you heard what I said. The parent-teacher conference was led by grandmother. Mm-hmm. There was no mother there. Oh, trust me, I know. There was no dad there. Oh, yeah, I know. Grandmother and grandfather were at the parent conference. Grandma and mama. Yeah. You got many hills to climb in this moment. So at this particular point, I assume, not because I'm vain, that you're watching me and I'm on stage all the time. I'm being recorded. Yeah. I'm being watched, and I'm okay with it. But as I said to you, I'm going to tell you the thing that is in your best interest. I'm going to let you know. And they find me. I get more kids who are not my kids every year. I'm like, I don't even teach you. Where did you come from? Oh, I'm friends with so-and-so. I'm friends with blah, blah. This is my friend.
You guys you have a thankless job with social media. There's no way I would want to be under that microscope at all. I mean, for simple fact that you don't need to be in my business. You need to be minding your own business. That's first thing first. And most people who don't have any business, they're in other people's business. That's the problem. You know, again, it goes back to lack of having esteem internally. So they got to live vicariously through other people or get in other people's business. But that's another topic in of itself. I want to hear Nick's perspective because he's a high school student, teacher, and find out how you handle this, situation. And like you said, you're in a tough situation as being a male, but I know I wouldn't change being me. If I was in that environment and under that microscope, I still hold their feet to the fire because I wouldn't give a fuck. Pardon my French. Because at the end of the day,
litigious,
at
the
end of the day, but see, here's the thing. You can hate me now, but you're going to love me later. And I'll give credit. I had an English teacher named Mrs. Ponticello in my sophomore year, and she used to be on me all the time. And I was like, damn, this lady hates me. But the reality is, this lady actually loved me, and she actually saw skills and talent that I had, and I was being lazy. And when I got transferred out of her class, went to another class, and it was, do whatever I want, I realized I wasn't learning anything. I was like, damn, I need to get back in this class. And that's when the light switch, clicked. It was like, the ones that are hard on you, they really care about you. The ones that just let you laissez-faire do whatever, they really don't give a grip. They got other stuff going on, and it ain't important. And maybe kids get that. They understand. They understand that internally. Every kid gets that. And I think a lot of times we don't treat them at the level of their intelligence. We talk to them at the level of their age.
Yeah, that's deep.
And that's one of the problems. And that's what I do with children I coach.
Yeah.
If I discern that they're smarter than their age, I talk to them at that age of their intelligence, not at their physical age. And if they're older and they act, immature, I talk to them at that age level. And I think that's one of the things, because again, we're in a litigious society. People are so afraid, and you're only afraid if you don't know who you are first and foremost. If you know who you are, you're gonna bring truth to power. So with that said, Nick, talk to us, because you are in that environment, and there's very few Black male teachers in any schools across this country, let alone high school.
Especially teaching English, because he gets it all on paper.
That's a fact. That's a fact. I do get it all on paper, because that's their space, the only class that they get to really express themselves and have it still be relevant, to instruction. So when it comes to dress code, thankfully my hands are not tied. I have the backing of course, my fellow colleagues, and I have the backing of administration, department chair people, vice principals, so I gotta tell somebody, and also I'm not the first line of defense either. Sometimes, in some instances, they slip through the cracks and they manage to make their way past security and past any administrators they walk past in the hallway and get to my class. That happens once in a while, but but since I have that backing, I can speak to that student, but I can also focus on instruction and just call that administrator to come and handle that dress code, and get them in that pair of sweats or
in gym clothes or something.
Drop off, right. Drop off more appropriate attire, so I am thankful to be in an environment where I have that support and that backing, because everybody doesn't have that in their work environment. So outside of that, when it comes back to raising respected and respectable young women, I have to I give them their English and their social studies content, but sometimes I have to pull them to the side, outside of instruction time and give them some of that street knowledge too, and really teach them the game, because I'm observing, I'm peeping everything that's going on, so I can tell the young lady, like, I see, the young man over here running game. I'm like, he just running game, right? or for the young men, there's been a growing men's movement, especially online. Back in the 90s, the women had their movement of, the talk show hosts, promoting the independent woman and exposing the brothers that are locked up and on the DL and all this stuff. Now it's kind of reversed. There's a men's movement now that's is kind of exposing all the nonsense that's going on. So so it's still an uphill battle, because especially with the internet, prostitution and glorified horrification is at an all-time high, so it's an uphill battle, but it's more and more of it is becoming exposed, and a part of the teaching the game is showing these young people how short-sighted they can be, and showing them the consequences of what may be coming in the future. So like DJ said at the beginning of the show, a woman that's showing off everything might be attractive in the streets, but a man doesn't want to bring that home. Not a good man that a woman will want to marry. So in bringing all this to the light, we're seeing that women, while they're young and sexy, they get away with it, in their late teens and early 20s, but when they get into their 30s and their 40s and their 50s, they end up being alone because they broadcasted everything, and then some people might say, well, the whores are getting married, they're marrying the whores too, but these are the women that make six figures, stripping, or these are the rappers, that make millions of dollars. These aren't your everyday women that these men are marrying, so you gotta open their eyes and show them the reality of the situation here. And it's becoming oversaturated too. And
they're desensitized to it.
Yeah. They're becoming desensitized to it.
Big time.
Yep. And we talked about the winter is coming. The winter is coming. So, with that stimulus drying up and all of that, these women are going to be on the prowl,
Timmy. Timmy.
It's predatory, actually. So, I mean, it's kind of a conundrum and a catch-22 at the same time. But I think people's moral compass has been in the toilet for decades now. And it's to the point where they don't know, some of them don't know right from wrong, where almost they like, sociopaths. I hate to say that, but we're probably the exception. We're not the exception to the rule, but on social media, we appear to be the exception to the rule, because they'll probably call us prudent, old-fashioned and
hypocritical.
Stuff like hypocritical.
Yeah.
Those things. But like I said, I always try to bring the conversation to anybody that says, hey, you know what? I was the baddest person, was doing all the bad stuff, and this is what I found,
Yeah.
And it just doesn't work until you change your narrative. And when people have the reason, because people probably watch this and say, well, yeah, sounds like you guys came from 2-parent households, this.
Right.
I grew up in the hood. They're always going to lean back to that super negative to give me an out. Nope, sorry, buddy. I was, raised in a single family house for a long period of time. And when we were taught the difference, when the neighbor and the neighbor's neighbor, just like you guys talked about on y'all show, Anita, had the freedom
authority
to tighten that butt up with that belt, and then you got that belt coming back to the crib. It was a different story.
Yeah.
So how do we get back to that, other than like you said, being the example first and foremost, because people only follow what they see you do. So you can't be hypocritical if you are actually teaching what you actually practice.
Yeah.
First and foremost. But when you get to other people, so on another sidebar is like, I was at the swimming pool the other day, and we got this multicultural community that we live in. So there's nobody in there that look like me. There's the white people, there's Asian people, there's Hispanic, Indian, and it gets close to about an hour before the swimming pool is closing. So all of a sudden, unfortunately, you got 4 young, brothers come in the pool, And all of a sudden, it's in this, be that, a that, blah, blah. And these kids were as young as 10 years of age, probably was no older than 15. And all of a sudden, you can see the comfort level of the people hearing this was like, wow, it's time for us to go. So I thought about, you know what, I'm gonna go have a conversation with this kid. But then I said, you know what, I already know how this is gonna play out. That kid gonna try to call his mom, call his dad, get things, escalated. And I was like, it's not worth my drama. And then I felt bad for the lifeguard because the lifeguard was a white guy probably a little bit younger than me, but he was at least in his mid-30s. And also when a couple of families started getting out the pool because they just felt uncomfortable, he was like, look, hey man, you need to stop saying what you're saying. And the kid was like, what are you talking about? And after he said, what are you talking about? The kid turned right back around and dropped 3 N-words and a B. And the guy was like, dude, you got to get out and go right now. And then all of a sudden, another black person that happened to be, oh, why are you picking on the kid? But didn't hold no accountability when the kid was dropping the B, the A, the N, and all that. But as soon as the white guy had no choice but to correct this kid, because now the young parents, they're getting their kids out of the pool, everybody's getting out of the pool, and I'm like, I'm not going to be involved in it. Where do we stop it? Because I was like, hey, I'm out of here. And I told the lifeguard, I said, hey man, you doing your job? Hey man, kick him out. And if you need me to stay here and back you, I got you. Because there was no reason that them kids should have been acting that way, but they always try to blame everybody else for their actions. And how does this relate to this? Because if you're showing all your gear, and this goes for guys too, if you're showing all your gear and you put yourself in an environment that's conducive for something to go wrong, I hate to say this, but you deserve what you get.
Yeah. I'm with you.
There's an age-old argument about that. And my thing is that I feel like you shouldn't have, there's no reason to dress and be so scantily clad. There's nothing that is so, it's not even that hot. It's not.
But it's somewhere, because they doing it in all age groups. They doing it in our age group. They doing it in the 40s, the 30s, the 20s, the 10s. They doing it down to 5 years of age. So it obviously is hot to somebody.
It
It's a problem, though.
It definitely.
I can't justify it. I'll tell you. I can't. I really cannot help and justify that because, like I said, if you go looking for my page and looking for things I have, and that means you're gonna see my Facebook, my Twitter, my Instagram is limited. I posted for things I've done. You're going to learn things. You're going to see things, and none of them are going to be anything that you go, oh, you should be able to show everything you saw to your grandmother down to the newborn in your family and everybody in between. Everybody's going to learn something. They may learn something different, but there's nowhere in anywhere there are no pictures I have to hide because there's nothing to hide because I didn't dress like that. I didn't dress to where you're saying, oh my gosh, there's nothing like that. There's nothing. There's a certain way you need to govern yourself accordingly. And when you make up your mind, it's just what you're going to do and who you're going to be, and decide, draw the line and never go past that point.
And that's funny you say that, Anita, because that used to be the bar. Hey, would you do this in front of your grandmother? Would you do this at your job? No, then you shouldn't be doing it. But you know what? The tipping point, and it's about time for us to wrap this up. The tipping point for me, I think it was about 7-8 years ago when Amber Rose, and they was like, oh, you hoe shaming, and some people called her out for what she was looking like. But now that became the norm because they, again, the PC people and the liberal people, oh, why are you coming down on her? Well, what this chick is doing. So you went from Amber Rose to Cardi B. Think about it.
I mean, they making a ton. And so Dale, so to your point, man, like this one, there could be a to be continued on this one because there's so many layers to peel back on this one. Because as you guys were talking, I kept saying to myself, all right, so we talked about having a male presence in the house, right? And then we said, okay, so if we offset that with a mom and mom becomes the example, clearly that helps, right? And then you get reinforcement through the education, with great teachers, right? They continue to reinforce the learnings at home. But then I said, hold up. What if they're not getting any of that at home because we're dealing with a young parent who didn't have an example?
The kid who had a kid.
Yeah. And so she trying to figure it out and making all the mistakes in the world at the same time raising this child. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, man, that's a uphill battle. So if there's nobody stable within that young person's life circle of influence, bruh, how you gonna reach that child? You know what I'm saying? Because the mom does not have an example to be a young woman, right? So how is she gonna show her young woman to be that? And then if she doesn't have any uncles, brothers, cousins that are willing to participate in their families and that young lady's life, what? Yeah. And then I hate to say it, though, but this is for real. Like, so then it's like, okay, mom is young, no male influences in my life. Now I'm leaving it up to society to help influence the direction of this young woman. Who do they run across? Do they have enough examples of young positive males within their life to say, okay, this is how it should be treated? You know what I'm saying? Because if not, if they're in that same environment where the dudes are running around doing whatever the hell they want to do, gang banging, selling drugs, calling them bitches and hoes and all this other stuff, then they don't know any better. You know what I'm saying? So then, like, what's really the root cause of it all? You dig what I'm saying?
Well,
it gets so heavy. You know what I mean?
It's a lack of God.
Yeah,
I mean,
it's so heavy.
It's a lack of God in your life. And whomever you call your God, be it Jesus Christ, Buddha, Allah, it's a lack of God. Because here's the thing, that lifestyle has permeated through middle class America. Well, now it's cool to act like you from the hood and you promiscuous, even though you're not, because that's the end thing to do. And you do have a 2-parent household. I see it. Yeah. I see it all the time, man. And I'm like, really? And again, going back to these kids in the pool, and I talked to I said, if we dropped them out in the hood, them same little kids wouldn't have been snapping off like they did, because they would have came across some real gangsters, and some real hard asses, and it would have been a wrap.
Absolutely.
But I'm watching the media, and I'm gonna pretend like I'm, big bad, and I'm out here, just out of control. But then I go back home, 2-parent household, got a good education, but I'm cool now, and now my likes then went up. And I'm the flavor of the month or whatever they call it.
Yep. And Dale, back on that same story, man. And this is the difference. And I understand the battle that you had within yourself. Like, I wonder how much power, restraint it took you from not going to say something to them. Because think about it. Back in the day, think about it. And I'm gonna let this resonate. Back in the day, you would have been regulated. Somebody's uncle, cousin, brother, mom, somebody in the community would have snatched your little ass up. You dig what I'm saying? And that would have been acceptable. But now, don't say nothing to my child. Don't you put your hands on my child, because now we got a problem. You know what I'm saying? So that's been eliminated. But I still think if we can reach that young person, we don't have to touch them, but we can say something to them that maybe gets them to think differently. Like, hey, look, I hear y'all come to the pool, y'all swearing, the music's kind of loud. Why don't y'all turn that down? Because y'all really don't want them calling the police and no problems. Look, y'all just came here to swim. Just go ahead and do that. Just plant the seed. Maybe they would have cursed you out. You know what I'm saying? I don't know. But then you would have said to myself, okay, I did my part, right? I planted the seed. It's not my job to water it. If he didn't get it on that day, that's cool. Somebody else would have came to him and said the same thing, and boom, maybe it would have changed his mind. Like, I think we need more of that too, Dale, but it's a slippery slope. You know what I'm saying? Because you don't know how it's going to go. No idea how it's going to go.
It's a slippery slope, bro. Yeah. And it's funny. Again, Anita and I were talking about this, like, man, sometimes when people are like, oh man, you just be doing everything right. But then when you be like, man, yep, man, let me give back and let me get, and then next you know, they take advantage of it. So it's a catch-22. So all I can do to answer that question, Ron, I got to be the example in my own house.
Period.
And then that will multiply into society. Because I can't be out here, because I'm not a school teacher, my hat's off. Y'all got a thankless job because I'm just not going to be responsible for your kid. I'm sorry. And if your kid infringes on my personal space, on my children's space, then I got to protect, and everything goes, baby. And we don't want to go there, but that's the reality of where we are in this world today. It's almost about risk versus reward from a mathematical and business sense.
Yeah.
I gotta, see
you
where
got
my costs
way
are.
more to lose. Way more to lose.
Right. At this point, you're right. Yeah. Way more to lose. So it's like, nope, that's your problem, boss.
Yeah, it ain't worth it.
Let me get to stepping.
Yeah, it ain't worth it.
With that said, let's time and give our wrapping up comments and everything. So this is first, man, this is a great conversation, like you said, and we definitely need a part 2 to this to intersect with the women, the other couple of women from the women's side, because I'd be interested to hear their point of views. Because what triggered me to have this dialogue is that when I saw the show that they did, I agree with some of the stuff they said, and then I disagree with some of the stuff they said, because again, we were giving our people an out, and we would not have been given that out from our people when we were being raised.
No.
So again, it was like almost a guilt scenario. And I was like, you know what, let's keep it real. If this required you to get a job, you to represent your people well, would you be acting this way? And if I came to do an interview, would I look and speak this way at an interview that I knew could change my life? No, you wouldn't. You would go to that conservative approach. You would suit up from neck to ankle. So why ain't you doing that? Because again, you don't see it as a life-changing situation for you positively in any capacity.
Not right now. Not
because when you do, even those people you claim that don't know nothing, it's amazing how they change their stripes. Yeah. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, correct me if I'm wrong here.
No,
you're not. I want you to understand that I did not realize that you felt like we gave them more out. But here's the deal. My issue is this. So I'm going to contribute and influence on my everywhere I go. I'm going to influence on my platform. I'm going to correct people on my platform. Everywhere I'm influencing, I'm going to do that. As for people who I don't get a chance to reach, I'm hoping that I'm influencing enough people to influence others. When you talk about why certain things are different, there are some people that are our age that made a decision at age of teenagers, maybe mid-20s, who said, when I am a parent, I'm going to not make my kid do this, and I'm going to do this differently from my parents. And they kept their word. Can't you see it? Those are the same parents who don't make their kids do homework, who buy these clothes, because they're financing these outfits. To be clear, these kids don't have a job. These clothes are not cheap. They're financing these outfits. So when you look at this situation, and then these are the same people who don't want you to touch their kid or talk to their kid, but if something happens to their kid, they want you to come help find their kid and contribute to their GoFundMe account. So again, I say, I'm Ron laughing, but come on now, pay attention to the situation. It's the same group of people. So when I tell you that he's talking about litigious, I don't care about that, because at the same time, like you said, those kids will tell their parents, she cares about me. She means well for me. She loves me. She needs this. This is what I got from her. This is what I've learned. They already know that. So they don't even call me with that foolery. So that's what I'm telling you, is that when you look at this concept, those kids whose parents are real parents, so Ron, Dale, me, those are kids who attract other parents who, what would your dad do? What would your mom do? Can I talk to them? I need some help. I need some advice. You know your friends, your kids' friends ask you for advice. They come to, you're the house to go to. You're the go-to house. You're the safe entertainment house, because they know what's going to happen. They know it's safe over there. There are people who are our age who made a decision that I'm not going to be that parent. And they did just what they said that they were going to do. And that is where it went wrong. That's where this got to loosen away from us. Because that's the majority. Not these one-offs where this one doesn't have any country. That young lady who had that baby who doesn't have any help she's got a teacher, she's got a friend, she's got somebody's going to be put in her path, and she's going to be receptive, and she's going to be grateful for help. Something's that God is going to take care of her. But these grown-ups who made a decision and they have a disaster on our hands, yeah, we're taking care of them. Yeah, because that's a wreck and the ridiculousness.
And y'all are grossly
Ron, why are you laughing at
underappreciated
me?
and underpaid. Yeah.
Yeah, you're right. What you got for us, Ron?
So for me to wrap it up, Del, and you said it earlier, really to change the world, you got to start at home. You know, to change the world, you simply have to start at home and be the example that you want out of your kids. That doesn't mean being perfect, but that means being the example more often than not and being present. And I think that in itself would at least set the right foundation for your kids to follow. And as long as they've got that baseline with some other influences, similar parents, other networks that your family is a part of, and they continue to get that reinforcement that they hear at home and they see it externally, then that begins to resonate with them. And then you've got a high level of success of raising the young child, man or woman, that you want. So it really starts at home. Yeah.
No, man, that's a great point. You know, I'm gonna tie this into a financial standpoint, is that in order for you to get outside of your house and help other people, it's so important for you to be financially independent, because if you can be financially independent and you can have the time to raise your own children the right way, or your nieces and nephews, and you don't have to be dependent on a check coming from somebody, you can actually now take your extra time and invest in your community. You can go coach, volunteer, and stuff like that, where you don't have to worry about your bills being paid. And that's one of the importance of getting free financially, is that I'm not saying don't help your neighbors, but I'm saying if you ain't doing nothing inside your own house first, you got to cover that. And then when you got that, and then if you have time to invest, because I've volunteered my time to Title I schools. I've done, you know, programs for single parents and stuff like, because I came from a single parent. But it just get to a point where, hey man, how much is enough if I haven't taken care of my own house first? So I focus on my own house, like they say when you get on the airplane. If the plane's going down, put your air mask on first, then put your child's air mask on. So if we could get outside of our financial challenges and get that freed up, we'd have a lot more time to serve back in the community and be able to be an impact overall. But first things first, at home, where you be the best example. And like you said, nobody's perfect. And at the same time, you have to share with them the accountability when you do make mistakes, and tell them, hey, this is what happens when you make mistakes. And as you growing through life, don't make the same mistake twice. If you can, you know, prevent that from happening, then you would end up having a very, you know, fruitful life. And guess what? In the interim, high school may seem like it's going to last forever, but it doesn't. It is a small window of your entire life. Yeah. Share that with them. I think that'll be even bigger of an imprint on their lives, because a lot of these people think that high school is it and all. And then when you get to college, you think college is it and all. Then all of a sudden you get to adult life and work and be like, damn, I wish I could have gone back, you know, in the future and changed some things. At the end of the day, that's what it boils down to. So man, this is a great episode. You know, you guys have been watching, you know, Bet on Black, the men, you know, the family, the legacy, including with the women's edition. So Nick, man, bring us on home, brother, because we're gonna definitely do a part 2 to this. And what I want to be able to do the next time is bring the women and the men together, because, and we also got to have the courage to actually agree to disagree with one another, and do it amicably, so that we can actually share, you know, the examples with our community, because this is something that impacts our community more than other communities. And at the end of the day, you got to cover your own community first before you can cover anybody else's.
Sure. I agree.
Yep, that's right. That's right. Yeah, so, you know, just building off of starting with your own family point, you know, a big word when it comes to this topic, you know, is accountability, you know, and when we talk about this topic, there's often a lot of finger pointing, you know, going back and forth, you know, like the women have no morals, and they're not being women and being, you know, feminine and being how they're supposed to be. And then, you know, it's like then on the other side, it's like, well, the men are the ones that created this environment and turn the women out, and this kind of going back and forth about whose fault it is, when all of us need to take accountability, for the situation, the position that we're in, and we need to rethink, how we define, like on the women's show, what should be sexy, what should be considered a real woman, what should be considered, a real man, and that's what I want to leave, as we end this session, and look forward to the next session. So I guess I'll go ahead and close out too, and say that we wish you a pom-pom lifestyle. That's plenty of money, peace of mind. And we want you to come join us on the beaches of the World Club. And your beach may not be next to sand or water, but your beach is where you find your happiness, your peace of mind, your personal freedom, and your real man, real womanhood. So until the next episode of Bet on Black, the men / the women, the family and the legacy, I want you to take care, and we'll see you soon.
Right on.
Y'all just drop off the show? They just leave? We don't wave on this show? All right.
Hi, I'm DJ the Money Coach. Don't touch that dial. You want to become financially independent? You want to have consumer debt freedom? You want to have passive income, learn how to build a business, acquire real estate, and achieve the lifestyle you deserve in 2021? Well, hit that link below right now. We've worked with over 20,000 people in the past 2 decades, helping them become consumer debt free, increase their credit scores by 30 to 60 points in 30 days or less, and help them acquire businesses through real estate, taxes, and a network of experts just like me. So you'll get a complete 3-hour, 18-module course called Family Finance 101 that'll teach you A to Z how to become consumer debt free, credit worthy, and it puts you in position to become a certified entrepreneur. We'll also give you a complimentary consultation with me that's a $500 value. Why would you want to do that? Because I have already achieved that, and I can help you achieve your American dream in 2021. Hit the link below, get the free webinar and the complimentary consultation, and I'll see you soon and wish you a pom-pom lifestyle. That's plenty of money and peace of mind. Come join us.
Hi, so this is a testimonial for DJ the Money Coach. First of all, I got one of the best packages that you had, so that was A1. I love the team. They have really come through. You were amazing as a coach. Every week you showed up on time. Every single week, and trust me, I've been in a lot of courses, a lot of classes, spent a lot of money, and unfortunately some people don't do what they say that they're going to do as a coach.
Hello everybody, my name is Terry. I recently just linked up with DJ the Money Coach, and he's been very helpful, gave me a lot of information, told me how I could turn my personal credit into business credit, also showed me how I can pay for vehicle through and corporation setup, and also set me up with Melvin to help me actually put together a will, a power of attorney, a Roth IRA.
I definitely would highly recommend DJ the Money Coach. He's very personable. He's actually real. He actually does meet with his clients. You know, I'm happy for that. And he actually has a team that he works with that, you know, that are actually they do call people. So they will call you. So that's kind of why I want to rock with DJ the Money Coach.